spunky second graders. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Good. Okay, well today we are going to learn about the different people who have lived in Kansas over time. Does anybody know how people in Kansas have changed? Well, good thing we're learning about it today. Does anybody know who some of the first people to live in Kansas were? Yes, Emma.
Native American.
That's right. So that's who we're going to start with today. If you guys just want to slide on down to where it says the Plains people. That's what they refer to Native Americans that lived in Kansas. Today we're going to be talking about the Kansa Indians because they lived in the northeast region of Kansas, and that's where we're located today. So if you just want to slide down to where it says who were the Kansa. So the Kansa were a tribe that lived in what is present-day Manhattan. They lived in wooden structures that were made of wood and mud that were packed in there. Sometimes these were referred to as lodges or mounds, and they would be up to 50 feet wide. They're pretty big, so multiple families would live in them at once. And they lived in villages that were usually surrounded by farmland. They would grow corn or sunflowers. And the men would usually hunt buffalo, and they would bring their buffalo hide teepees with them when they were on the go. And then the women would stay in the villages, and they would tend to the farms, and they would take care of children. And I thought it would be fun to talk about the Kansa children, since we are children. Just like you guys, the Kansa children had chores to do. They helped their mom and dad tend to the farm and hunt, but they also like to play games, just like you guys do. As you can see in this picture of the hoop, they played a game called Hoop and Pole, and each child would have their own pole, and they would throw it at the hoop, and whoever got to that center little piece right there, whoever got closest won the game. So, we're going to move on to settlers. Settlers were the second group of people to live in Kansas. Settlers are people who move to a new area that doesn't have a lot of people in it or doesn't have any people at all, and they kind of create new towns and businesses. So, if you just want to scroll down just a little bit more, after the Indian Removal Act, Native Americans had to move down south to Oklahoma, and about 100,000 settlers came here to Kansas. Most of them were from New England, some of them were from Missouri. A lot of them wanted to come here to farm because we've got great farming land out here. All right, and we'll just scroll down to where you see the covered wagon. So when settlers decided to move west, they could only bring as many supplies as that wagon could carry. So they couldn't bring a lot of stuff. It was, they would have their oxen and their horses pulling them. They would travel at a very slow pace. So sometimes it would take months and months because they were going thousands of miles across America. Sometimes they would bring their families, sometimes they would not. Both men and women had jobs, just like your mom and dad do today, but they're a little bit different. The men would usually steer the wagon, and the women would be in the back tending to the children, or they would cook dinner for everybody at their campsites. And then, if you just want to scroll down a little bit more to where it says Settler Children, we'll watch this video if we get the chance. But settler children, they also had chores. They had to help out mom and dad because there was a lot to do. They had to start their lives over completely. Like the Kansa, they had to build their own houses. And they also liked to play games. They would take whatever supplies they had. If they had a stick and a string, they would make a fun game with that. And so then we'll move on to modern day Kansas families. So modern means something that's happening right now. You and me, we are modern. So as you can see, I've got a picture of a modern family. We have a lot of different families that live here in Kansas. Nowadays, we don't really have to worry about building our own houses. We can just hire somebody to make them for us. We'll buy them pre-made. But parents still do have jobs. They just look a little bit different these days. Sometimes your mom and dad might go to a business or to a school to work, and the kids will go to school. But we still like to farm here in Kansas. We are known as the breadbasket. So if you'll scooch on down to modern day children, with the invention of technology, kids don't have to always go outside to play. They can play on their computers, their iPads, and stuff like that, but we all still love to play games, and we all still have chores these days. Every now and then your mom and dad might give you a list of chores to do. So, if you want to scroll on down, we've got an activity. At your table, if you guys want to just brainstorm some ideas of how The Kansa Indians, settlers, and modern-day families are alike and different on your Venn diagrams. I'll give you guys about 1 minute to complete that. Give you guys enough examples. Fantastic. Alright, you have about 20 seconds left. And if you guys need to brainstorm together, that's okay with me. Alright, if you could write your final thoughts down, we're going to share some of our ideas on the board here. So, what ways would the Kansa Indians maybe be a little different than other ones? Go ahead.
I thought that they were here in Kansas first.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I said they were forced to leave Kansas.
Yeah, that's right. Anybody else? Any ideas under that one? Okay, let's move to settlers. Did anybody have any ideas?
They came in covered wagons.
Yes, that's right.
They came to farm.
Yes. Any other ideas? Okay, great. Let's move on to modern day Kansans. How are they different than everybody else?
They have more technology.
Yes. Anybody else?
There's more variety of jobs for people to do.
Yes, that's right. Anybody else? Okay, let's talk about how some of these groups were different. So how maybe were the Kansa and the settlers alike?
Built their own homes.
Anybody else? How were the settlers in maybe modern Kansans alike?
I had some farm, but like
Yeah.
it,
There's still a large
Some.
farming population. Yeah. Did anybody, I know this one might be a little bit trickier, but did anybody think of anything of how modern Kansas and Kansa Indians were alike? Guys, go for it.
they all play games.
Play games, that's right, yeah. Okay, and last but not least, we'll do this one right over here. How are they all alike?
They all lived in Kansas.
That's right, they all lived in Kansas.
1 minute.
Awesome. Anything else? Maybe, oh, go ahead.
I put they all have jobs or roles.
Yeah, all have jobs. Anything else? Maybe something that the kids like to do that we talked about?
Play games.
They like to play games, that's right. Okay, you guys did awesome. So now that you guys have seen some differences and some similarities between all three of these people that have lived in Kansas, I'll have you pull out your exit slip and answer the question, how have Kansans changed over time? And then once you guys finish that, you can line up and we'll go to music.